Austin Andrews here with your beacon. Today we're taking a look at the catastrophic hurricane damage in the Appalachia. This has been a story that has been almost overwhelming to cover, and one that I do not believe I will do justice. It is being covered by many news agencies, but my focus will be on some of the information we are getting out of civilians now. Realize that the numbers that we talk about, the cases that we talk about today, will just continue to grow as the devastation is more fully understood and as reporting agencies are able to get into the communities that right now are currently completely cut off from the rest of the world. The New York Times has called Hurricane Helene the deadliest storm to make landfall in the United States in the last 2 decades. The Category 4 hurricane tore through the Gulf Coast of Florida, heading into Georgia, and then washing away parts of North Carolina and East Tennessee. The New York Times states, quote, "Across western North Carolina, towns were destroyed, water and fuel supplies were disrupted, and residents were in the communications black hole scrambling for Wi-Fi to try and reach friends and family," end quote. The loss of communications is something that can be expected in storms like this, but normally within a day or two, emergency personnel from companies like AT&T are on the ground to put up temporary towers and restore communications. This has proven difficult to impossible because many of the roads and access ways were washed away in the storm. Some access is being restored through Elon Musk's Starlink, a satellite-centered communications network, but it still requires receiver units to be deployed in the region. Elon Musk has implemented access to that part of the United States, giving anyone who lives in affected areas free access to the internet connection if they have access to a deployed receiver, instead of charging them for that internet use for the next several weeks. At this time, more than 200 are confirmed dead and potentially hundreds more are unaccounted for. The two primary arteries into West North Carolina, the I-40 and I-26, both have extensive damage and have been closed to incoming traffic. They do not believe either will be operational until later in 2025. If you viewed a map of the road closures in North Carolina, it is full of red ink and roads that are not to be trusted. FEMA is on the ground, but few have been encouraged by their presence as the slow progress and lack of support has been the experience. Reports from civilians who've gone into the catastrophic zone have reported a lack of support, a lack of rescue efforts. Vice President Kamala Harris offered the survivors of the tragedy the FEMA standard monetary support, a one-time $750 check per household. This being given to people who have potentially lost everything. And of course, you can sign up for that $750 check online using the internet that they don't have access to because they don't have electricity or running water or internet in many cases. But the most alarming reports are coming out of this tragedy by those civilians that have stepped up to help. A father and son team, both volunteer firemen in their local community, heard a story of a family that were trapped without water or supplies. The father owns a helicopter, and the father and son team took to that helicopter so they could research the area, find a path, and then start mounting rescues. They found a path that they believed would allow them to deliver some support to the family that was specifically being cited on social media. After receiving clearance from local air traffic control and meeting with local law enforcement, the father and son flew in together to help families. They began by rescuing 4 people on their first day. Some folks staying that were at an Airbnb when the storm hit and had no supplies left. The rescuers slept on recliners as they prepared for another day, and when they awakened, they had messages from dozens that were asking for help. They had voicemails, social media requests, and the father and son deliberated on going back out, with the son finally saying, quote, "There's so many messages, I don't think we can't not go help," end quote. They mounted another rescue of a woman whom they spotted from a rescue flyby. But when they landed, they made a plan to leave the son with the woman's husband as they were concerned about the weight of the helicopter on the unstable ground on takeoff. The father left the son with the woman's husband with the plan to return as soon as possible. But when the father delivered the woman to a local emergency shelter, the out-of-town firemen threatened to arrest him if he got on his helicopter and flew back into the mountains to rescue his son and the husband. The fire captain, a captain out of Michigan, threatened the pilot with arrest, but the police that were present finally told the father that they would allow the pilot to rescue the son and the man he was left with. These were emergency personnel posted up, seemingly not making rescues at the time. And I recognize operations may have been ongoing that were not being reported in the story as it was reported on the Queen Story News. But they were attempting to prevent a civilian from mounting a rescue of his own son. There is a danger in having civilians operating in the same airspace as official rescue, and I recognize that. But the reports are coming out about how people are not being helped by FEMA. The military is not flying helicopters into these areas. Coast Guard is not flying helicopters into these areas. It's civilians. Another civilian rescuer posted this to social media in his frustration with the lack of government support and help.
I came up here on Sunday with aerial recovery before we even got activated. We flew up here and then we got activated, which is great. I have my team up here working as well. Here's the problem. I'm going to tell you everything that's happening from the ground, what I'm actually seeing, because what they're telling you is complete shit on the news, and these politicians don't include and they're lying. And I'll say this now, I'll say it at the end of the video. The only thing I need from this video is helicopters. If I have helicopters, I can save lives. Without helicopters, I can't reach these people. It doesn't matter how many chainsaws and trucks I got, I can't get to them. They're 10 miles in, 20 miles, 40 miles in the mountains. There's no way to get with them or even communicate with them. I am literally flying around in a civilian helicopter looking for SOS messages carved in the mud or painted on the ground, and we're dropping down and saving them. What got me fired up about this was yesterday, me and my team did the rescue of that 11-day-old baby. And all these government officials and social media, they're showing that video, that pictures and video of that rescue, and claiming that like they have some like government helped with that. And I mean, even USA, I think it was USA Today, wrote an article about it saying it was a Florida National Guard that went and got it, like with a helicopter. No, it was me, my buddy Charlie, and a civilian named Zeb with his own personal helicopter out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Like without that civilian, that baby would be dead. And the old lady we went and rescued after that, she'd be dead too because she had 1 day left of oxygen. No one was going to go get them.
Now, the government is saying that FEMA will not have enough money to last hurricane season. In fact, they're saying that FEMA can only offer the $750 per household of financial help, and the civilians actually running rescues are being told to stop or not being given any support. At the end of the day, it is you and I, the American people, who will be the rescuers and the support for the men and women of East Tennessee and West North Carolina. Please continue your efforts to give. We'll have more coverage of this. For now, I'm Austin Andrews, and I'll see you on the next report.